Hey everybody, welcome to Example of Play. Today's video is going to be a tutorial video for the Combat Mission series. I'm playing Combat Mission Final Blitzkrieg, and I'm going to run through the tutorial campaign and try to teach you all the basics you need to know to get started with Combat Mission. I know that there are other tutorial videos out there, but I figured I'd try my hand at doing one. And I've played this series for a long
Did you
time,
see
like
that?
20 something years now, going back to the original games. And so I have a decent handle on it. I'm definitely not the best player or
Secure
anything.
the flanks.
I did even play multiplayer some back in the day and won a few matches. But today I'm just playing the tutorial campaign from Final Blitzkrieg against the AI. If you like this video, want to see more like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I appreciate everybody who watches the videos and gives comments.
Hey, take a look at that.
So to get started here, the game does give you a little briefing. If you read the manual, it does
Listen
explain
up.
kind of what you're supposed to do in these missions, but there's no interactive tutorial in the game. It doesn't pop,
Did
there's no
you see that?
pop-ups that tell
Yes,
you what to
sir.
do or anything. So my job, I'm going to try to just walk you through it and teach you all the basics over the course of these missions. There's 4 missions that should go pretty quick. This first one is really just
Okay,
the
Sergeant.
absolute basics of move your guys around to these objectives and then go over here and shoot at some defenseless enemy targets. I'm going to use this as a chance to kind of show the basic controls and step through what's relevant here, though there'll be some other stuff in the future missions. So to start with, in combat mission, it's basically a combat simulator that tries to get as realistic and nitty gritty as possible in terms of the details. So it's really like what you see is what you get. You click this unit, you can click this little circle is how I like to select guys, though you can also click on them. You click on them and it selects this squad. So you control groups of units typically, though it can be the case that you have just one guy in a unit. Normally there's a few, and a squad like this is going to have quite a few guys in it.
Okay, Sergeant.
And then if you zoom in down here, we have some information. So this is the 3rd squad. This shows they're in the 1st platoon, A company, 3rd battalion. Usually that doesn't matter too much, but you do want to kind of be aware of who the commander is for this unit. So the way you see that is when you click on them, it highlights the other units. You can double click and it'll highlight all the guys, it'll select all the guys in
Hold your
their
position.
squad or their platoon, um, basically their level of the hierarchy. And you can go back. There's a few different ways. You can go here and click on 1st platoon. It'll take you to the headquarters of 1st platoon. You can click on this guy. See, he's 1st platoon, and this is his platoon. If there was more units, you'd be able to see that they're not highlighted. Um, and then you can double click on him, and it'll select his whole platoon, all the units. Though most of the time, you're not going to want to order a bunch of units at once, because in combat mission the units aren't really, the AI is not really smart enough to move on its own. You do have to kind of micromanage everything, which is one of the downsides of it. Um, it's kind of the double-edged sword of being so detailed, is that the AI has a hard time sometimes with the details, so you have to do a lot of micromanagement. I'm playing the game in real time for this just because that makes it go a little faster. It's a little just easier, but you can play in turn-based WEGO mode, where basically there's a timer. You give your orders, and then the game plays for a minute, and you can't change anything for that 1 minute. You have to live with whatever orders you selected, and then at the end of that minute, it'll stop, pause, and then you can issue new orders and change things. That's fun. I think for multiplayer, that's the best way to play, and that way you can send turns back and forth, and you have time to kind of think about what you want your guys to do. Where if you try to play multiplayer in real time, it's it's just a different game. It's not really the way the game's meant to be played. When you're playing single player, you can do real time and you can pause whenever you want, which for me is good. It's how I like to play. Though bigger scenarios, then for small medium scenarios I'll do real time. Big scenarios I'll do the turn based, because it gets so big that you just can't keep an eye on all your units at the same time. and you'll miss stuff will happen and you'll not even know what's going on. Because the game also one flaw, I wish it had like some kind of pop-up saying, "Hey, this unit's being attacked. This unit got destroyed," like a lot of other games have. But since you don't have that here, uh, it can get a little too busy if you're playing a big scenario in real time. So anyway, that's my take on doing real time versus the turn-based mode. Both kind of have their place, but for today's purposes, real time is fine. So anyway, let's get to basic movement. Um, so down here, just real quick, you can see this is the squad. They're veteran, that's important. They have a good leader, +1. They're rested. They're okay on their morale. All that stuff will change over the course of the mission, or as far as rested or morale, their veterancy won't change. But a green unit is gonna break and run way faster than a crack unit or a veteran unit, and so that's kind of just to be aware of who your guys are that are gonna stand and fight versus which ones are gonna hit the dirt immediately or run away. And green units really will break really easily, so you have to be careful with them. But all of our units today will be probably veteran. Uh, you also see here their ammo count down to like individual rifle bullets. My experience is
Take a look at
normally
that.
your infantry aren't going to run out of ammo for their rifles, though they might run out of grenades. Your tanks and other stuff that has like limited number of shells definitely could run out, so you'll want to keep an eye on that. Then here we have their special equipment. So these guys have binoculars that let them spot better. They got a bazooka. They've got 8 rockets for it, and they've also got a rifle grenade, anti-tank rifle grenade. But really, that bazooka is
Okay, Sergeant.
the nice weapon. They also have a variety of weapons, so you can see here what each individual soldier is carrying. And if you zoom in, you'll see you can highlight. We'll find this guy. So this guy's got the rifle grenade, and he's
Take
right
a look at
here.
that.
So if like this specific guy gets shot, he'll drop that, and the squad won't have the rifle grenade anymore.
Now
Though it
listen up.
is possible for them to salvage stuff if you kind of park them on where someone got hit. Sometimes they'll pick up the gun. So you see all the different weapons that they're carrying. And then over here is where there's commands, but normally I don't use this. If you hit spacebar, you'll get a little menu that has the stuff. There's also
Yes, sir. Okay,
hotkeys.
Sergeant.
These are the default hotkeys, but you can change them. But normally, for me, I usually just do spacebar and do that. I've got it so memorized, I just do this. So yeah, so for movement, I've said that like 3 times, but getting to actually doing movement, um, we'll just work this section. I'll just use to show you like the basic commands. Movement, you have all these different ways that they can move. So infantry or any unit that's on the ground is going to have
Now
usually
listen
these
up.
options, except for assault. Assault is usually specific to like rifle squads, bigger units of infantry. Not every unit can do assault. We'll start with the basics. Fast is what it sounds like. If you use fast, your guys are going to run. Like they're going to dead sprint as fast as they can. If you do that, they're going to get tired really fast. So fast is only used for short distances when you have to. Quick is your sweet spot. This is what I like to use most of the time. This is your guys kind of jogging. Normally, if you move them in kind of bounding motions of like 100, 200 meters at a time, using quick, they won't get too tired, um, and they'll get there in a decent amount of time. Move is your guys just walking. This is okay for when you don't think they're going to be in any danger, or some maps are just so big that your guys are just going to need to walk because anything else they're going to get tired. And if they are walking, of course, if they get shot at or something, the AI will take over a little bit. They'll switch to quick or
Listen up.
fast on their own, or they'll switch to hitting the dirt and crawling around.
Okay, Sergeant.
Slow is going to make your guys crawl. This is them being sneaky. Um, Again, this is one that's going to make them tired really fast. If you've ever gone outside and crawled around with stuff with gear on, it's not easy. Like you're going to get tired. And so these guys, if you use slow, they'll get tired pretty fast. But it is good if you're trying to be stealthy. If you're trying to keep them in cover, it's useful. But generally, you're only going to use that for special cases. Hunt is also kind of a sweet spot if you expect your guys to be in danger, like they're walking through a forest where there might be enemy units. Hunt is good. They're going to move a little slower. I think they get a
Okay,
little
Sergeant.
more tired than just walking, but they won't get that tired. But they'll be more prepared to engage in combat. And then also with Hunt, they'll stop if they get engaged, so they won't keep going. If you have them on like quick, they'll try to keep getting to their objective. They might stop and shoot some, but they're going to keep moving. Versus Hunt, they're going to stop and engage. So that's kind of the main difference. And then Hunt is kind of a walking pace. And like I said,
Okay,
Assault
Sergeant.
is a special case, so we'll show that. If you tell these guys to assault this building, they will actually do kind of an automated little move where some of them will move and some of them will stay put. You can see they're in these three columns, and that's kind of the sections of the squad. They'll operate individually. And then just for demonstration, I'll have these guys quick move over here, and then this squad is just going to do regular move over here. And we'll make the platoon leader, so see he doesn't have the assault move. We'll make him fast move over here and see how tired he gets. Now I like to leave, if you hit Alt
Move 'em out. Let's
P,
go.
it'll show move paths for all your units when you have one selected. I like to do that so I can see where everybody's going. So we captured that objective. So there's different kinds of objectives.
Follow
These are
me.
touch
Advance.
objectives. We just need to get into that
Move it.
space
Go,
and we
go,
do the
go.
objective.
Quiet down. Let's get some noise
These guys are doing
discipline
the
here.
assault. So one section ran up in there. Now this next section is running up in there. And these guys are covering them. And this is mostly for this kind of thing of you're going to try to attack this building. Normally you're going to use this over kind of short range because they're running. They're going to, if you try to do this over a really long distance, they'll get tired. This is mostly for something like this where there's a house here, we think the enemy's in it, but we want to assault it. So we want some of our guys, and you can micromanage this too. I'll show you in a second. But assault is kind of a nice automated way to do that. Now checking on our other guys, our quick guys. They're jogging over here. They made it to their objective. They show ready, so they've kind of like warmed up, but they're good to go. These guys are on a leisurely stroll. They're still at rested, and they should stay there. They're not going to get tired, but they're not moving very fast. And then finally, our command squad, guess what? They're already tired, so they didn't even make it there. Now the line's yellow. They've switched to quick because they're too tired to keep running. So that gives you an idea of, and also they kind of ran through this forest, so that didn't help. But that shows you how fast your guys will get tired if you use the fast command. And once they're tired, it'll take them time to get back to rested. Where these guys who are at ready, they're still ready. They're fine. These guys are rested because they didn't go very far. And these guys are rested. So we'll have these guys quick over to here. And these guys also, well, okay, so I'll show you the next thing. You can also give multiple orders at once. So I can tell them, hey, I want you to quick there, right click to let that go, and then open it again, say, okay, then I want you to run to there, and then I want you to slow the rest of the way. And then they'll go to each of those points and switch what they're doing. Another thing you can do is you can left click and hold on this, and you can move it around and say, oh, actually I wanted them to go in the forest first, and then they'll switch on the fly. And you can also get fancy with that too. So you can click on these little nodes and you can come down here and do other things to like give them a target arc or something at that individual point. But we won't do that for now. Now, one thing you might notice is whenever I'm giving them these movements, you see these squares pop up. So the
Follow me. Advance.
sorry, the bright yellow one, that's kind of the middles, the main squad, that's where they're going to end up. And then the other squares are where the other guys will end up. And the map is broken up into these squares. And where that kind of gets important is, so like right here, I want them to get up on this line where there's a little elevation here. Or maybe we want to get behind this wall. We don't want them up on this road.
Advance.
So we click on them, we say, alright, we want you guys on this wall. Now normally it'll automatically stick them on that wall, but sometimes it won't quite put them where you want them to be, which can be annoying.
Cover me.
So, these poor guys, they're crawling. So one thing you can do to get a little fancier, you can come down here to the admin section and you can actually split the squad up. We can say, we can split teams, which will split them into their 3 different groups. We can split off an assault team. That'll typically split off the guys with like submachine guns and heavy weapons to be a little assault team. We can do anti-tank team, so that in this case that would definitely split off the bazooka guy and maybe like 1 or 2 other people with him to be a little anti-tank team. Scout team, exactly what it sounds like. It's like a couple guys that you can send off to be scouts, or a combined squad you can bring them back together. We'll say split teams, just so you can see. So now that one squad becomes 3 teams, and then if say you really want them in very specific spots, now you can go in there and order each team to an exact square. If you're playing competitively, you know, you'll want to use that. One, just because, or I say competitively, if you're playing, once you kind of get the basics down, that can be very useful because it makes you a lot more flexible. This one squad can now be in 3 places at once versus all being together, and also it helps you avoid casualties. Like if artillery were to hit these guys, we might lose half of these 2 squads in one artillery strike, versus if we split them up, we could have them strung out all the way down this line. Now you notice the infantry automatically started shooting. So they have, this next tab is combat. So you don't need to use these commands generally, but you want to use them for certain tasks. Because the infantry, or all the units, they'll engage on their own. Basically, if something's in effective range of their weapons that they can damage, they'll start shooting at it. In this case, it's like a target range over here. There's a bunch of German tank groups, pistols, and no ammo apparently, because this is just a training mission. But they won't shoot at these tanks with their rifles because they have no chance of hurting it, so they're smart enough not to shoot. But otherwise, they're going to sit there and keep shooting at whatever they can see. You can come down here to combat and give them a specific target, like I really want you to shoot at a certain unit, but it has to be a unit they can see. The way spotting works is down to like each individual soldier sees only what he can see. But if he spots something, he can relay that information so other units become aware of it. Just because they have line of sight doesn't mean they'll always see it. So if we click on these different units, we'll notice that these icons change. Most of them can see all the tanks, but they can't see all the infantry. The little question marks are, we think there's something there. And then this is showing us we definitely see these guys. But say if I click on these guys, then that goes away because they can't see those units from where they're at. So spotting is very detailed in that it goes down to like each individual. It actually goes down to like their eyeballs is how detailed it is of what they can see. But they also, just because they have line of sight doesn't mean that they see what's there. They have to be aware of it. And then yeah, just to run through those commands too. So target, we can tell them, hey, I want you to shoot at some specific target. You can also target the ground. Like I want you to shoot at that. If there was like a building over there and I think there's infantry in it, I could have them shoot at that building even though they don't know that there's anything there. You can also have them do an area target just at like the ground, but sometimes they can't shoot because it's reverse slope, and that means they can't actually like see that spot because where
Okay,
they're
Sergeant.
at. And sometimes you just have to here where they're at. They can't see the ground right there, so you can't tell them to target it. Target light. Oh, and then the other thing with target though, even if you don't want to use it to actually shoot at stuff, it gives you the range and it gives you the line of sight. So it lets you see this bright blue line is what you want. That means they can clearly see whatever you're pointing at. If you get the blue dark like that, that says reverse slope, so that's like behind this wall over here, so they can't see it. Or like these guys are given this gray line, and that means like they can kind of see it, but it's not as good as the light blue line. They can target it, but they don't really see it that well. But it gives you the range and line of sight, so it's useful as a tool. Target light is the same, but basically instead of going all out, they'll just kind of lightly pop. So it depends on the unit. Riflemen will kind of just lightly pop away at it and not use like their rifle grenades or anything special. Tanks will only use their machine guns if you give them a target light order, so that's useful if you want to save ammo. Target arc can be very important, especially for certain units. This lets you say, okay, and you click one spot and you move this, you say, okay, I want you guys to shoot at this arc. And they're only going to fire at units in that arc, generally. It's not a hard rule, they'll usually stick to it, but you know, if like a squad of infantry walked up to them from here, they would start shooting. So it's not a hard rule, but it's generally, they stick to it pretty close if they can. Another trick with target arc is you can hold down the shift key and you'll get this circle. So you can say like, I want them to only fire at units that get so close to them. This is useful for like scouts or other units that you want them to defend themselves, but you don't want them to shoot at stuff that's really far away because you want to try to keep them stealthy. You can do clear target, which will get rid of any of those previous orders. You can do face. So with infantry, the importance with face is it will change what direction they're taking cover. So whatever you click on, they're going to face that direction and take cover relative to that direction. So if I tell them to face this way, they're going to turn around, they're going to say, okay, we don't need to be up on this high ground, we're going to get down low. And this is especially important if like there's a wall or something, or if they're in a building, you definitely want to use the face command to get them pointed in the right direction. For tanks, the facing is important because the tanks are the model is very detailed in terms of where their heavy armor is. So the armor is heavier on the front. You always want them facing their frontal armor towards threats. And then target armor arc. So this is good, especially for like anti-tank guns or for tanks. If you want them to only fire at armored targets, you'll get this purple arc. Like for this infantry squad, you're not going to use that. But if, say, you had an anti-tank gun, that would be very useful because you want them to stay concealed, only fire if they see an armored enemy target. And then you can do target briefly. When you do this, they're just going to shoot for 15 seconds. So that's useful if you want them to suppress a spot for just briefly, but not waste a whole bunch of ammo shooting at it forever. It's really useful in the turn base where you might want them to just shoot for a little bit, but not for the whole minute. Alright, so that's all their combat things. Special, so you have pause. That's again another one that's useful mostly in the turn-based mode. It's going to make them pause for 5 seconds. And then the P key, so you can stack it, it'll go up a little bit more for each one you do. For real time, I don't use that too much, but in turn-based, that can be very useful because you're going to do that to kind of like time movements. Now we're going to bring these tanks up on the line so they can start shooting. And then hide. So for infantry, this is useful because it's going to make them basically lay down and hide. It makes them harder to spot, but it does make them less, they can't spot as well. They won't, because they've got their face in the dirt. It's going to keep them safer, but they won't be able to see. Pop smoke has on pop smoke grenades. You want to make sure they're facing the right direction before you do that. And then admin, we already went over. For the tanks, any other vehicles, it's mostly the same. The main differences are like movement. Obviously, a tank's not going to get tired, but the other things, like if they're going fast, they might not spot as well. Slow is very useful for the vehicles. Hunt is very useful. Reverse is very important because say we spot a tiger tank over here, we're like, oh, we want to get out of there, but you don't want to turn around, just back straight up. You can give them this reverse command. That way they'll keep their armor facing that way. There's also the hold down command. I've never got that to really work right. It's supposed to help them get into a hold down position, but usually I just kind of micromanage that myself. You can see the tanks are automatically popping away. A couple other special ones, so open up. We'll have like the commander open up the turret. Now he can see better, but he's exposed. He can get hit by rifle fire. So you don't always want to use that to have those guys pop their heads out. But it can be useful if they're having a hard time seeing the target. And they're all right. The mission ran out on us, but we went through most of it. There's a few other special commands that'll come up as we go. All right, so I know that one wasn't too exciting, but we're trying to kind of work through all the basic controls, and that's a good mission to let you do that without any danger, really. One tip when you're playing the campaigns, always make sure you save. If you say cancel right here, you'll go on to the next mission, but it won't save. Game's kind of old school. There's not a lot of like auto saving or quick saving or anything. You have to make sure you save your game right here. You do get the chance. You could change it to turn-based, but we'll leave it on real time. Now we're loading up on into the next mission of the campaign where the enemy will be shooting back. And I'm going to switch from doing controls so much to doing more tactics, which is what the goal of this training mission is. Basically, we're attacking a little town. We have a rifle platoon that's reinforced with a bunch of supporting elements, and then we'll get some Sherman tanks after 10 minutes. It's important when you're reading these briefings to kind of have an idea of what your objectives are, what your forces are, especially what's on the map to start versus what is reinforcing. So we get 3 tanks, but they're not going to get there for 10 minutes. And then what are the enemy forces? Sometimes you'll know, sometimes you won't. Here it's unknown, but there are anti-tank guns. So we can't just roll our tanks straight up. We need to figure out where those anti-tank guns are. And then usually it'll give you some kind of like historical context and what the plan is. So for this one, we're going to move our supporting elements up to get into this base of fire, and then our infantry get ready to attack over here. So pretty basic strategy stuff, but this is the training campaign, so that's what we're doing. And you also can see here, we don't have any fire support, but we do have reinforcements coming at a certain time, 10 minutes in. And then up here we see what our objectives are and where we're going to get points. So we don't want to take friendly casualties, we do want to destroy them, and then there's so occupy objectives, we need to be sitting on those at the end of the mission to get them, and then touch, we just need to touch that to get it. And most missions will have a briefing, then they'll have the tactical map, which it depends on the map. Usually it's useful. That gives you an idea of kind of where everything is. And then sometimes there'll be developer notes here that might give you like the historical context or what their inspiration was or whatever they want to put in there. At the beginning of these, If you have this blue purplish color here, you can move your units around before the mission starts. So you can use any of the movement things to stick them in a different spot. For this mission, it doesn't really matter. And in some missions, you won't be able to move guys around, or maybe some you can, some you can't. But we'll kind of get the lay of the land here. So we have our first platoon. So we got 3 rifle squads and the headquarters. We got 2 armored cars, and we have a sniper team, a machine gun team, 2 machine gun teams, and then 2 scout teams. Those are all pretty self-explanatory, other than the machine gun teams. Sometimes these dedicated ones, they'll actually have an ammo bearer team. So this is just 2 guys with rifles. You can use them with their rifles, but really their main purpose is that they're carrying an extra 1,000 rounds of ammo. And basically, you just need to keep them close to their machine gun, and they'll automatically share that ammo with them. The machine guns introduce 1 extra command, deploy weapon, which is under the special. And so here we see, and this depends on the weapon, but we see it a lot with machine guns, mortars, anti-tank guns. They have a certain amount of time it takes, so 17 seconds to deploy, 12 seconds to pack up. Right now they're semi-deployed, so sometimes they'll it depends on the unit, so sometimes they'll automatically go into semi-deployed once they reach their spot.
Take a look at that.
So you can see he's got the bipod down, but if we say deploy, now he switches, they get the tripod out, so now that gun is going to be more stable, but also it's a little less mobile. It takes time for it to get into that deployed mode, but it's going to be more accurate when it's like that. And it just depends, like I said, it depends on the weapon, if there's semi-deployed, deployed, or some of them will just automatically deploy, and some of them you need to manually tell them to do that.
Quiet down. Let's get some noise discipline here.
And then we got our armored cars. We don't think they have anything special. They can open up, so bailout will have them jump out of the vehicle, but sometimes they can get back in if it's undamaged.
Okay, Sergeant.
So we do have these scout cars. They're very lightly armored. They do have, these guys have a little cannon on them. Got a machine gun. They could be very good for fighting German infantry, but the briefing said there's anti-tank guns down there. So probably if we roll them up there, they might get popped and instantly killed, so we won't do that. We'll figure out where those anti-tank guns are first and see if we can suppress them. But we'll keep these guys as our extra firepower if we need to roll them up to blast away at some troublesome Germans. Another command, you can go down here, you can see hotkeys, and I would suggest looking at these because they let you tweak a bunch of stuff easily. One thing I like to do is if you hit Alt-T, you can turn off the trees. If you hit it again, you get this, like you just see the trunks of the trees. And then on a bigger map, it'll change, like it'll only do this when you're close to the trees. Usually, it's kind of hard to play with the full trees on these maps that are heavily forested because, yeah, you can't like see anything.
Yes,
and also the game doesn't run that great when there's the trees. So I like to play in this mode. So just so you know, those trees are still there. We're just not seeing all the foliage on them. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to get the rifle platoon over here so that they're all bunched up here, but we'll spread them out and go ahead and give them orders before we even start. They're going to move into the forest, and we're going to do just normal move. Like I said, normally you don't want to command a big group with the same orders all at once most of the time, but for like these movements at the beginning of a scenario, sometimes it's okay. And if you select a bunch of units at once, give them an order, they're all going to get basically the equivalent order depending on where they start. So I click here, they're all going to get movements relative to wherever I clicked and wherever they started at. And we're going to have them walk through the forest, because if we have them quick move, they might be tired by the time you get up here, because it's like heavy forest. It's gonna wear them out. So I'll have them just walk up to there, and then we'll regroup once they get up there. These scout teams are a little lighter. I'm gonna have them move up here just to get up there a little faster. And then we'll have them kind of edge their way to the edge of the forest there. The machine gun teams, if you can imagine, the machine gun team's going to get tired faster, so we're going to have them walk down over here. We'll put one down here and one kind of in the middle. And there's no point in rushing them there until we know what the situation looks like. The company headquarters, there's no artillery for us to call in, so we'll just kind of put them in the middle. Units do benefit from having a leader nearby, so like this platoon, you want to keep them all together. And like I said, so when you click on this guy, you see these gray out and these stay highlighted, so you see this is like his group. And you can see down here these green dots, that shows that they're in contact with their platoon leader. And then he's in contact with his company headquarters. So we got green dots. You like green dots. Basically that keeps them happy and more effective. You can still give orders to units that are out of communication, but they're gonna just not perform as well versus units that are in communication with their command chain. And then we have our sniper team, which, yeah, no matter how good of a sniper they are, you're not gonna win. They're not gonna win the battle. So they're mostly good for spotting and for occasionally taking out, you might point them at like an anti-tank team or an anti-tank gun or a machine gun crew, high priority targets. You don't want them just willy-nilly shooting because they're just going to get spotted and killed. Alright, so with our basic plan of rifle platoon up the left, get ready to attack, supporting elements to the right to spot and get in position to support their attack, and then tanks coming in a few minutes to back us up. And then I'm going to move one of these armored cars down this little trail in the forest, but he's going to stay back here because I don't want him to get spotted just yet. Hopefully there's enough trees that he won't get spotted through there. It is kind of like what you see is what you get, so it's possible that the Germans might see him through the trees, but he's just probably okay right there. But we'll face him that way just to be safe. And this one we'll just leave right there. I'm going to give these guys a target arc, because I don't want them to fire right away. I want them to just be spotting for me. And then same for our sniper team here. We're not in a big rush because we got that platoon of tanks coming up soon. And there's really no point in starting our attack until we have that platoon of tanks ready to back us up. Cool details, like you can actually zoom and see like the radio guy. He's got his radio on his back. If he goes down, then company headquarters all of a sudden doesn't have a radio. And while we're here, I'm going to give these guys more specific follow-on orders.
Move out.
Have them kind of spread out a little bit right here.
Forward! March! Move it out. Let's go.
We'll probably want to keep them in cover and go up through here, but I might move one squad up to this line right here just so if there is any Germans over here, they can be positioned to shoot at them.
Move it out, men.
The edge of the forest can be a little more dangerous than
Do
you
it,
think.
soldier.
Your guys are, if they can see out, the enemy can see in, basically. Alright, we heard the first shot there. So we see there's a German squad right here. And he has spotted our guys. But even though I had these scouts trying to be kind of sneaky, they got spotted. But they can see that German, but I'm not going to have them fire because they only have one rifle. If they start shooting, they're just going to give away their position. I mostly just want them to be spotting. So like they have line of sight into the village, at least partially. And we'll have these guys be crawling up here just to be
Move out.
sneaky.
Move it.
Let them see what they can see. And then machine gun teams. I'm not gonna put them up on the edge of the forest yet, but just get them kind of ready. Still only spotted that one unit there. And then another thing is, say you change your mind about this, you can come out here, you can click that line, not the node, but the line.
Forward!
Or I think actually you can click the node too. Let's see. And you can click quick, and that'll change to whatever you want it to be, and then they'll shift and start running if you change your mind about what you want them doing. Okay, good. We spotted one of the anti-tank guns. Or at least, I don't know, there might be more than one. But we spotted this one way back here in the back. So we can't park a tank. If a tank comes to this spot right here, they're gonna get pegged by this gun because it's lined up straight down this road. But a tank can park right here and he would be able to see it. A little scouting goes a long way. And with that information in hand, I might move this scout car up. Just absolutely cannot go to that corner or he'll be dead. Get a little more firing coming at us. Alright, so this machine gun, they spotted something, they started shooting. So we'll have them deploy so that they're and before they start deploying, you always kind of want to get an idea that they can at least see some stuff out there. We can always move them later. We'll have both of our machine guns deploy.
Pay attention.
It would be really nice if they could see. So if you want to say, all right, we see this, but where do we see it from? You can click on that and you'll see that this scout, he's lit up. That means he can see that enemy unit. So it might be a good idea. We could move our machine gun to right there. And then maybe they could see that anti-tank gun too. And they could start shooting at it. And this guy being here, he has voice communication with him, so he'll share that information with them a little faster. And then we should be getting our tanks here in a couple minutes. Since our machine guns are in action, I want to get these guys
Follow me, man.
up on the line.
Go.
But they're in that heavy force over there, so it's slow going for them. guys are taking a little fire. Let's get that machine gun deployed. Start returning fire. We're gonna clear target on all these guys. Kind of. Ooh. So that anti-tank gun fired at them. So yellow means he's lightly wounded, but he's still on his feet. They can't see that spot, but I can tell them that reverse slope. There we go. Sometimes that reverse slope's annoying. I can tell them to just go ahead and start shooting right there. And we'll just imagine that the scouts are saying, no, right there, the end of the road, just shoot right there. So, yeah, the gun fired back. That's not good. So we lost that machine gun. They lost that duel. The gun's knocked out. 2 of the guys are down. Didn't work out. But at least we know where that gun is, so we can work around it. These guys are in position here. Nobody's shooting at them just yet. So we'll let them catch their breath right there for a second.
Advance!
And sometimes you do just have to be kind of patient, trying to rush things, gets guys killed. Case in point, you'll see here that these guys are being tended to. So when infantry go down, if they have the little skull thing, they were killed. If they have the cross, that means they were wounded. It doesn't like matter to your score if you pick up the wounded, but it does help in that sometimes they can pick up like special weapons off of them if you give them time to treat, and they'll just kind of do this automatically if they're in the same space with a wounded person. So yeah, the machine gun itself is still knocked out, so it's gone. It's just laying there on the ground. Alright, the tanks have arrived. Now we can get a little more aggressive. Still can't go to this corner of the road because that gun is in play, and at this range, I don't remember exactly which gun it was, but at this short of range, wouldn't be a good idea to try to poke our head out there. However, I will move that scout car up because now we've got some big boys to replace it if it goes down. Start poking their way down here. Towards this attack route objective. You always want to move infantry to cover, obviously. Scout car has not gotten blown up yet. So, well, say that. Looks like something just shot at it. Have him back up. Okay, so, yep, there's another anti-tank. We'll pause it here. A big thing is units firing and giving away their position. This anti-tank gun fired at our car, but it looks like he hit the tree right here. He hit that tree, but by firing, he gave away his position. And now we know that he's there. And we'll see if we can get some shots off back at them. If we get them pinned, and we know that gun's there, kind of work around it, stay out of sight of that gun, we can get our tanks into play here. And we also have spotted an enemy scout team here. There's some foxholes here that we couldn't see before. Our infantry, they hit the dirt, but we should have strength of numbers here to get in the fight. Scout cars penetrated. The crew did manage to bail out. That's good. They're not any use to us though, so we can get them out of there. Let's see if we can get that sniper team in play. We'll move the sniper team down here. That flashing means they took a casualty. So there's another team right there. In these forest fights, sometimes there's not a whole lot of strategy to it other than getting volume of fire and just putting the hammer down on them. Sometimes there's no avoiding that your guys are going to take that first casualty. Sniper team's here. I don't know what that was. Sniper team's right here. Tell them to face that spot, see if they can spot that. Might not be able to, but it'd be handy if they could. Our tank has spotted this dude right here. These Germans have got the heads down now. Can't do the assault move. Not there. How about two? Sometimes the trees like get in the way of put these orders down.
Take a look at that. Go, go!
We can see the tank has 49 HE rounds, 43 armor piercing. So he can use a few rounds on that guy if he can knock him out. But if you're worried about your tank running out of rounds, you can be more restrictive and kind of control what they're shooting at more. So using the assault, we got
Yes, sir.
a few guys moved up first. That way, less likely that the whole squad takes a big hit. But of course I say that and I've got them all stacked up over here. Aggressive and just get more guns in the fight than the enemy has, even though you're going to take some casualties. Now, yeah, they inflicted a casualty on us, but now they're running for it. And when they break and run, usually that's whenever you can really get them. once they're running, usually they're a little easier to fight because they're already rattled. And it is possible for units to surrender. They'll just give up. And if you send your guys up to them, you can capture them and take them off the field, kind of just like treating wounded. Looks like there's a machine gun right there shooting at us. I would like to... I would love to get one of my tanks in the fight. And this is a spot where it would be great if we had just one mortar that could take out those anti-tank guns, but no luck right now. We're gonna creep this machine gun up and see if they can get in the fight a little bit. These guys kind of caught their breath. They've started spotting more enemy infantry further in the village. I'm gonna have these go over here. We don't want to get these guys hit us on the flank. And if we move them up, maybe they could even hit that AT gun from there. And we can take the enemy foxholes, give a little defensive bonus if we get in those.
Reload. Move it. Go. Go. Follow me. Follow me. Go.
Doesn't get in line of sight of that anti-tank gun, he's fine. And with vehicles, you can fine-tune and move a little bit more. With infantry, you have the squares, but with vehicles, you can put that spot wherever you want it. Now we got a pretty good firefight going on over here. That rifle dude's got a lot of firepower. And for the sake of the mission, we might have to risk it against this anti-tank gun. And that's kind of part of the game, because whenever you play the more modern combat mission games, casualties are much more important, or limiting for number of friendly casualties is usually a very big concern. But whenever you play World War II, yeah, sometimes the reality is these battles, you're going to take casualties, and you might not want to take huge casualties, but you're probably going to take some casualties, and that's expected. And so part of the calculation is going to be, you know, we have to take this objective. How do we do it with minimal casualties, but with the expectation that there's going to be some casualties? I don't like this 90-degree turn right here. And I know that that anti-tank gun is like right there. Not the best strategy. That guy's knocked out. This one seems like he can't quite see it. Maybe that'll get it. It's, yeah, annoying in this scenario that I have these tanks and I them in the fight because those anti-tank guns are perfectly positioned to counter. Move that machine gun team up to get them in the fight a little bit more. I've seen our infantry squads have kind of won this fight, so we're gonna shift and get them into this row of buildings right here. And then these guys down this side. It almost feels like it would have been better to not even bother with the space of fire on this side and just bring most of my units along on this attack route, because this platoon's having way more success than my base of fire side of things is. Now I think I'll be a little frisky and move this armored car and try to see if I can sneak them up along just the very edge of the road right here. And that actually moves fast for this. Oop, yeah, that did not go good for those guys. Expected over there. Took a couple of these. It's kind of working. You can see the anti-tank gun down there. They made it. Squad just got wiped out over there. Too exposed. Maybe the anti-tank guns are shooting at them. And I realize I'm not putting on the best demonstration of winning this scenario. But the nice thing about the training campaign is that this is all just training. And it's fun. It's just a simulation. Now the scout car works his way into the fight where neither of those anti-tank guns can see him. But we still have to be careful that there's like this Panzerfaust team, there's a Panzerschreck team there. Probably some of these squads have Panzerfaust. Don't want to get too close. Or at least advance cautiously. Alright. Thank you, boy. It's made it into town so far. Kind of same thing, if I could just slip him in where those guns can't see him. Might be my best bet versus trying to knock them out head to head. I feel like this gun might have been firing at these guys, and so silver lining, our tank made it into the town, and now I can have him just like blow up some stuff. Now, the use for fast. These guys are all here. We're in kind of a funny little line. We're gonna have them run down that hill and get into that house. And if they make it in there, then the rest of the platoon can follow them on in. Those poor guys, they're done. And then a good rule of thumb for urban combat is when in doubt, just go ahead and shoot at buildings and stuff. Just go ahead and put a few AT rounds into those houses if you think there even might be an enemy squad there. Because if you wait for your infantry to get close, they might get wiped out. But if we just pop them a few times, that whole battle is that'll work right there. So they have some canister rounds firing a giant shotgun. Did the trick on those guys. Now units usually what you see is what you get also in buildings, but units like where the doors are, your guys can only go in through the doors. But moving between buildings, usually they can move like directly between them. And I want to make that a fast. But this one, they couldn't. Good for that, but good for this one, so you gotta be kind of cognizant of that. They're gonna run out in the street and then back in over there. And then also where the windows are, so like these guys are in this house, but there's no windows on this side, so they can't really shoot in that direction very well.
Hold your position.
Which kind of sucks. So we see, okay, yeah, there is a door there, but there's not a door there. Kind of a weird graphical thing. So these guys, let them just do a little shooting first. We'll have these guys pop smoke out, and now cover my infantry running across, because they gotta run all the way over to here to get into that house. Unless they go on that side, which, yeah, that's one thing where it can get a little finicky sometimes. Which way your guys decide to run. And yeah, so it looks like those guys got caught where that AT gun can see them. They got shot at, and this AT gun fired at them, and that was kind of their downfall. So I wonder, scout car made up there. Can Mr. Tank also make that big? Smoke, not too impressive, but we'll take what we can. And they're gonna run out there. Scout car, cover them. Oh no, so half ran out one side, half ran out the other. Gets a little messy sometimes. Safely there, so we must have weakened the German presence quite a bit at this point. So we'll have these guys take a similar route and get into that house. And then platoon leader, I was gonna say, good enough, just run straight in there. We've got these guys where they can see that stupid anti-tank gun. That guy. Hate that guy. Yes, run. Yes. Finally. That one's knocked out, so hopefully not get popped by a their shirt or something. Base of fire team back there. Fell. You guys tried. That's what I was gonna say. Oh. So, what I feared. Rolled him a little too close. My Panzer Foster, Panzer Shred got him. Now this squad, the three can't hit shooters because there are two grenades. So basically there's something to do.
Keep moving. Let's go.
Okay, so these guys have surrendered. And your guys won't shoot at them once they're surrendered, but they can still die accidentally. Gonna get that squad in there. That should give them nice sight lines into the town, the rest of the town.
Keep moving. Let's go.
At some point, we would hope the Germans would surrender. Okay, so this tank is dismounted. That means if the crew gathers themselves, we could have them. It's not knocked out. So in theory, they could get back in that tank and get back in the fight. And then we do have one more tank over here that we might maneuver him around up here where he's a little more out of range. So we can see that crew is definitely run away. This crew, I don't know. They might still be there. Now we see these guys are all bunched up. So this is the spot where maybe we could split them up and like have one go upstairs. And that way they're not all stacked up together. Okay, so we see this is that other AT gun crew, so it's got ran away. And now I do wonder, AI surrender. It feels like we've got control of the town. You can hit ceasefire to basically force the AI to also ceasefire. When you're playing a human player, you both have to ceasefire for it to go into effect. But if you do that with the AI, sometimes you can end the mission early if you think that you're winning decisively. So we'll split off a scout team. You lucky guys to run across the street here, see what they see. These guys are surrendering, so they disappear off the map. And now, since I know that AT gun is gone, we're safe to get a little more aggressive. And this tank crew, in order them to get back in their tanks, it's not knocked out. And it's cool, you might see there, the tank, actually the turret can engage in one direction while the whole front hull machine gun engages in another direction. I split off this squad. One thing you can tell teams to merge back together, but also if you just leave elements of a squad together, a lot of times they will just going back together automatically. feel like the Germans should have surrendered already by now, but so what is their deal? Okay, there they go. Finally. All right, so we got total victory. We can see we accomplished all of our objectives, even with the casualties we took. We still did good enough. 17 killed, 8 wounded. In a one-off scenario, this doesn't really matter other than your objective points, but in campaigns, a lot of the time, units lost might be replaced later, they might not, so you don't always want to lose a ton of units in a campaign mission because you might not have them for the next mission. And then we can also see what the German objectives were, which they lost. And then I always like to review the map after, and now you can see, like, there's these guys, they were there the whole time through that whole scenario, just set right there. And you can click on units and see what casualties they inflicted, which, like, these guys didn't do much. Scout car got a few. These rifle squads did pretty good. And then also in a campaign, if they do carry forward, you can see how many campaign victories they get, which you'll find there'll be at least a couple units that rack up quite a few kills over the course of a campaign. All right, so let's go right on into the next one. That mission was us attacking, and this next mission is a defense against a German counterattack. So now we've taken the edge of this town in the last mission. Now the Germans are counterattacking. We need to hold it. We have a reinforced rifle platoon, an anti-tank gun, some mortar sections. In 10 minutes, we'll get infantry, tanks, and artillery. So we want to repel the German attack, and then whenever we get reinforcements, try to counterattack if we can. We are over here, and then the Germans have a command post there. Fire support, so we got some 81mm mortars to start with. We've got some 105, so that's some big artillery at 10 minutes. And we got another platoon of infantry and tanks coming in 10 minutes. I like when the scenario starts with a nice little view. So here's our anti-tank gun, which with a very good view of the battlefield. So the town we're defending right here. The Germans are going to come from over there. They've got to cross this kind of river, this line across here. So this thing right here, a target reference point, this is something you get on some missions where sometimes you can move it around, sometimes it is preset, so this one we can't move, but sometimes you get a few of these, and basically for artillery that gives you a reference point. This mission is the first one that we've had any artillery. Normally, well, I'll go over that here in a second when we get to that. But basically, it gives you a spot that you can always aim your artillery there, even if you can't see that spot with the unit calling it in. Let's go over our defense real quick. So we need to hold this town, specifically this area right here, and then we can place our units anywhere in the darker blue color. Got some scout teams out there, and kind of an infantry squad spread along that line. Machine gun right there. Got a forward observer way back here. So like I would set them with a short target arc because I don't want them, they don't need to do anything but just stay right there. I don't want them getting spotted. We have another forward observer here. Same thing, there's no reason for them to fire at all. Their job is to call in artillery. And then over here, this looks like a bunch of infantry, but really we've got our mortar teams and then their ammo bearers. And with mortars, it's all about how many rounds they have. So if they have their ammo bearers with them, they're going to have a lot more rounds. So they got like 100. Yeah, so we've got plenty of mortar rounds. in this little platoon here. We've got some jeeps
Did you see that?
that we could use, but probably for this mission we're defending. And if we do counterattack, we're not going to use the jeeps. But the mortars aren't deployed yet. We could have the mortar teams move up where they could use direct line of sight to just fire at stuff that they see, or we can have the forward observers call them in as artillery, which I'll show you that in a second. In the actual village, we've got various infantry, got a sniper team up here at the front. Don't love having units on the front end of buildings like this facing enemy attack, because what's going to happen is they're going to get spotted and they're going to get like just hammered as soon as the fighting starts. So actually, I'm going to pull them back to here. And it's kind of same thing with the machine gun team. Like, it might make sense for them to be right here, but just think about they're at the very tip of the village, and as soon as they start shooting, every German unit in these houses, in those houses, on that tree line, they're gonna get off about 2 bursts before they're getting just riddled with bullets. So having them right there, not really that useful, especially with the German command post. It's that close. Like, if the Germans were attacking from way up there, that would be okay. But with the Germans already this close, like, it's a waste to have these guys right here where they're so exposed. I would rather, and also something I've learned is the second floor is good for spotting. Your guys can see further, but if you don't have the fire superiority, like being in the second floor just makes your guys more exposed. Sometimes, a lot of times, being on the first floor is better, because they can still defend the building they're in, but they're not as visible from far away. But for these guys, I have a machine gun on this side of the village that's a little further back that has good line of sight. And this is what it would look like with all the trees on, just to give you a more realistic picture. And yeah, look at that. Like, they've got all these trees in front of them. Like, they can't see anything anyway from right there. So I think they would be better off back here and bring their ammo bearers along. There's only one window, so the ammo guys might as well be downstairs because they can't see anything anyway. Yeah, we'll set that machine gun here. So now they're covering this left flank, but they're not as exposed. Like, they won't take fire from that side of the map, and they're just a little further back. Yeah, I like that better. But the village is pretty lightly defended in terms of just how many units are here. Not a lot. Just kind of thinking about, I'm gonna put one, there's no windows. Like, these barns sometimes kind of suck because they don't have as many windows as you'd like. Yeah, so those front units are a little bit pretty sparse, but they've got machine guns on the flanks backing them up, and artillery, and then hopefully after if they can hold for 10 minutes, then we'll get reinforcements. So to give you a little briefing on artillery, yeah, I wish, like, if this was another platoon of infantry, that would be awesome, but having mortars is good too. And these guys are not deployed, so we'll go ahead through here and tell them to deploy. They do have a max range, but this map is small enough that, or at least we expect the attack to be close enough that it doesn't really matter. The range, oh yeah, the range is 3,000 meters, so probably at that range, I don't know how accurate they are out that far, but 3,000 meters more than covers this map. It's 1,000 meters across or so. So it doesn't really matter where they are on the map once they're deployed, as long as they have a radio nearby, which one of these guys somewhere here is going to have radios, so that's good. Your forward observer, typically they're going to always have a radio. So the way calling in artillery works is you got these buttons right here. This is for air support, which in World War II, a lot of times you don't have air support, or if you do, sometimes it's just as dangerous to you as it is to the enemy. In the modern titles, air support's awesome. But for World War II, mostly we're talking about artillery. Artillery's a little finicky, but once you know how it works, it's not too bad. Only certain units can call artillery. Again, in the modern titles, like pretty much everybody, if it's like a NATO unit, pretty much any unit can call artillery, but some are going to be better at it than others. For World War II, like if we just go to this rifle team, they can't. It's denied. They're not allowed to do that. If we go to their platoon headquarters, they can. But it's going to take longer, basically, for them to call it in versus the artillery observers. It's going to be faster for them to call it in. And then the one thing that the difficulty level changes in combat mission is difficulty level changes spotting rules, which it just changes like not how the units actually spot, but like what you can see. So I usually turn it down because it's just annoying to have the higher level rules, really. And then it also changes how long artillery takes. And also, again, the long delays are just annoying, and some of them don't feel that realistic. Like I think World War II, a unit working this closely together could probably get those mortars firing really fast. Where if you had this on the hardest difficulty, it might take several minutes for them to start firing. But anyway, we don't see where any of the Germans are. If we do artillery now, it'll like instantly start dropping when the mission starts. But if we wait, it'll take them 2 minutes for it to start, which isn't too bad. Whenever you want to do an artillery mission, you click on it here, and then you can also select like multiple if you hold down shift. You can have all these guys firing together, but that would be a lot. Or you just click like this one. Which got a little messed up there. So we can do point target, area target, linear target, and that's just going to change like what your firing shape looks like. Point target is usually the least useful, but it's the simplest. You're going to tell it, hey, I just want to shoot this spot. Well, actually, I say least useful. That's not right. It's good if there's like a particular unit you're wanting to attack. Like there's an anti-tank gun that's right here, and we know it's right there, so we're just going to click on it. And we just want to hit that particular spot. Area target is good for kind of broad areas where you're not exactly sure where the enemy is. You want to kind of saturate an area. Not great for like these light mortars, but for heavy artillery, pretty good. And you click, and then you move the mouse, and you get this circle. And basically, it's the bigger the circle, it's going to spread. So like if we do that, that's just going to be a waste. Like it's just going to be all over the place. If we do, say we think we know there's some enemies, well, like this command post. We know there's probably some guys in some of these buildings. We could do like that. Though again, with these mortars, not always the best. With heavy artillery, yeah. And then really with the mortars, besides the point target on something like an AT gun, the best is the linear target, and that lets you draw a line, which is perfect for like a tree line, where we think they're setting up right here, they're defending right here, or they're moving into there, and we can just hit a line. Then you can make the line as long as you want, though obviously, the bigger you make it, the less effective it's going to be. Right now, before the mission starts, we can shoot anywhere we want on the map. But once it starts, these guys can only call in artillery to spots that they can actually see, or to like this target reference point, they can target within a certain distance of it. So if we're thinking that Germans are imminently about to counterattack against us, and where we think their positions would be, we can maybe call in some of this artillery now kind of spoil their attack. We can imagine that almost certainly there's units at this command post. There's probably some in some of these houses, but we don't really know. They're probably not this close, but they're probably almost definitely there's going to be some in this forest up here. Because if we were attacking, if we think how would we attack? Like this is a lot of open ground here. Probably we're going to attack through here, where we got some hedgerows and bushes and stuff and buildings, and we're going to attack here, where we've got this forest low area to move into. So I'm thinking we will hit this spot and the command post over here, maybe a little bit over here too. So I think probably linear target to hit kind of the edge of this forest right here. And then the next thing after you pick where, you can say, okay, do I want smoke? Like they have a few smoke rounds, but for us right now that's not useful. Or do we want some variation from harass, light, medium, or heavy? And that's going to be kind of how fast the rounds are falling. And that's kind of, there's no right answer, it just depends on what you're trying to do. But we'll say heavy, because we're thinking probably there's some guys here. And then you pick how long. Quick to maximum is dangerous because they're going to keep firing until they run out of ammo. So typically you don't want maximum. But the only thing is, like we call this mission in, it's going to instantly happen. But if we want to call it again, it's going to take time and we need to see this spot. So it's kind of like, well, do we want to get in a good attack while we can? And you can always cancel the fire mission later. So we might go with, we'll probably just go with medium. So we'll say medium.
Request fire mission, over.
Right there.
Request fire mission out.
And these guys being for observers, they can call in multiple to start. And then do one right here also. Let's do medium.
Requesting fire mission, over.
Roger, fire mission request out.
And then we can imagine there's probably some units in here.
Request fire mission, over.
Roger, fire mission request out.
And then there might be some in this little tree line over here.
Fire mission request, over.
Alright.
Request fire mission, out.
General rule that I found is, yeah, if you have artillery, use it. Don't save it because you probably are like that golden moment. Either it's not going to happen, or if it does happen, you're not going to have time to get your artillery pointed at them and get it on time and everything. A lot of times it's better to use it when you know you have a good chance of getting a good hit. Like at the beginning of the mission, if you anticipate where you think they're going to be. Versus waiting and waiting and it being too late. The only other thing I was going to do before we start is this anti-tank gun. We definitely want them on a target armor arc because they are the only anti-armor unit we have available. Some of our squads might have bazooka. We might have a bazooka in there somewhere. But some of these are like the squads that we had in the last mission and they took casualties, so that's why they're a little thin. That one squad that got wiped out, I think is this one, so there's only like 5 guys over there. So yeah, we might have a bazooka among our whole platoon in this village. I don't even see one anywhere. Okay, yeah, here. So we have one bazooka right here. Yeah, so we gotta keep this anti-tank gun alive, which means they have to be set to target armor only. That way they don't fire until we actually see some tanks. And we don't want to give away their position as long as possible, because the Germans might have artillery too. Once they fire, they're probably going to get artillery called on them. Alright, here we go. That was enough yakking, but just some points about setting up a defense. Order teams are firing. It's kind of cool. You can actually watch them firing the rounds and watch. Sometimes you actually see the rounds like fly up and down. They'll start landing here any second. So start getting some hits. And the Germans might be firing some artillery at us also. Looks like they're dropping smoke rounds. If we were attacking, smoke rounds, good idea. But a lot of times you need a lot of smoke. Alright, so yeah, there were some Germans over there. We were right. We got foxholes. Oh, look at that machine gun team running away. I love it. Not sure if there's actually any in that tree line, but the airdrop is smoke there, so could be. So if we click on these, we click go to spotter, so he can control this mission. And you can see they're firing for less than a minute. It doesn't tell you exactly how many rounds they're firing, but just kind of like how long they're going to be firing. But we are using up, looks like about half of our available rounds on this opening barrage. But that's okay, like I said, if it is successful in spoiling their attack and inflicting some casualties, rattling them before they even get going, it'll be well worth it. Because now, well, once this mission ends, I'll show you how it can be, like, okay, so now let's say if we did want to call in another one, like, you can kind of see over there, but not as well. Now there's a bunch of smoke, we can't see into here at all, can't see over there, maybe a little bit, but that opening salvo a lot of times can be very effective if you guess right about where the enemy is. Germans have a pretty good smoke field going right here and over here. This machine gun is either about to do some serious work on guys coming through that field, or be useless over there. Alright, there were Germans there. Alright, looks like they're on the move now. So, since we have the target reference point right there, we could say, alright, you guys are running, and the target reference point also makes, if you call an artillery there, it comes in faster. So, you guys, they're moving. Alright, we see you setting up right there. We'll just do a light, short burst.
Request fire mission, over.
So this one won't come as fast. You do see them out in the open, so it's a good chance to hit them while they're in the open. Got an armored car back there. We're aiming at the tank gun. Ooh, we see a tank. Alright. I'm gonna take an executive decision at the tank.
Take cover!
Yeah, as soon as they start shooting, now they're taking some fire.
Request fire mission, out.
really want to take out that tank. Let me see the tank. No. Just waiting for that tank to come in view, take it out. Good. Got penetration on that tank. That's probably the most threatening enemy unit in the battlefield, so if we take it out.
Keep your heads down.
Alright, looks like it was knocked out. There's still one armored car back there, but I'm not too worried about that. We should get our tank reinforcements before too long. So like this one now, they're still spotting. So if you don't do that, if you do mid-mission firing, so you can't direct the other ones because he's busy spotting for this one. And basically what happens is they'll fire off a couple of spotting rounds, and you'll hear it over the radio as they try to like get on the target.
Fire for effect. Over.
Yeah, and you hear the fire for effect. So now they'll start the actual mission, where before they pretty much immediately did it. I come over here to this one, and he says, hey, I see there's a bunch of Germans right in front of me, but I can't see them because there's smoke in the way.
Roger. Fire for effect.
But I think there's Germans over here. You can kind of see that. So let's do,
Fire mission. Over.
I want you to fire over there. Now he says, alright, that one's going in. Don't have to worry about it anymore. Let's fire. Let me see over here. Now there's too much smoke. Now sometimes with the line one, if you can see just the start point and the end point, you don't have to see the whole line. But they can't see it from where they are. Platoon headquarters. You might be able to see it. No.
Roger. Fire mission. Out.
Some hits. Nah, she got knocked out. But they're in the fight a lot longer than they would have been if they were on the front of that building when they got wiped out. It's over here, the German attack, even though we can't directly see these guys, we know just from all those markers kind of generally they're moving through there. But we've got a decent force here. And about 1 more minute, 2 more minutes. We should get our tanks. AT gun did good work. We got both of those armored cars and the German tank. Hopefully that is all the armor we have to worry about. So about 40 rounds left.
Fire for effect. Over.
I'm gonna go ahead and call a linear mission here. And this one I'm gonna do a little different. It's gonna be light but long.
Request fire.
So they're firing slowly over a long time. So any of these German units that are getting into this tree line, they're going to get some harassment fire as they're getting shot at by the enemy.
Roger. Fire for effect.
Should break their will a little faster. The main concern is over here on the left flank. We're spread real thin over there. Company headquarters is going to have to get in the fight. Or at least be ready to get in the fight. Because we just need every unit we can over there. Just use 14. Yep. Just rise over here.
Out.
Smoke's clearing, drilling moving. But we just don't have very many guys over here. Downstairs. pause right there just because they should, now that the smoke is cleared, they can see. And we're definitely going to need some help right here. We can do it as emergency, and that gets it coming in faster
Fire mission over.
at the risk of it not being accurate. Hopefully the port observer is talented enough to make that happen. Alright, so our tanks and infantry and artillery have arrived. Let's see what we got. We got our tanks. Oh, so these must be the tanks from the previous mission if we lost one of them. So, yeah. We don't get that one in the middle. But we do get a full infantry platoon. These guys are riding on this tank. These guys aren't because their tank didn't make it. Now we could roll them in the tank. Do I think we can hold over here and counterattack through this forest? Or do we think maybe we fast move one tank down this road into here? Just to get, if I can get that full infantry squad into those buildings, that should be enough to hold over there. While this infantry squad, or the rest of this platoon, rolls down this hill, and then we attack up through there and take the German command post if we can. How did that guy get hit? That's weird. Did the artillery land all the way back there?
Fire perfect.
Not willing that tank to go faster.
Roger. Fire perfect.
Another guy hit. Ouch. Alright, fine. Hop on. Nice idea. To get there. After dead, to get there. Instead, we will just have the tank go and do the job. We also got artillery in there. Oh yeah, our big howitzer artillery. These are the big guns, 140 rounds. Oh man. Alright, but it will take 5 minutes for that fire to come in. So
Fire perfect. Over.
I think we will use it to just absolutely hammer. So we do, and with some artillery you can do general or personnel. Personnel is like airburst rounds, good against infantry and open. General is gonna blow stuff up. Ready general.
Request fire mission over.
And we're just gonna
Fire
absolutely
protect.
blast
Out.
those Germans in the middle. And just knock the center out of their position. Squad. Kind of caught the breath. They can just into the town that way. Alright. Left flank held long enough for our tank to show up. Very nice. break up that position as well. These guys are in position, but we'll let them, yeah, they'll need to recover. Giving your units the hide order will keep them a little safer from artillery. Basically, they're hunkering down, not sticking their heads up.
Fire mission out. Fire for effect. Out.
Couldn't see any. Oh, because we had that target reference point. That big artillery is actually going to come in faster. So once that lands, that should just knock the heart out of that German position. Here. We got fresh platoon rolling up. And then, since it doesn't look like any more armored threats are coming at us, we'll clear this target. Let that AT gun engage with its AT rounds. Having some aircraft rounds mixed in with this, the idea is just hit them with this many explosives ought to, if not directly knock them out, just totally rattle their morale down to nothing to where they run away. And maybe knock out some of those. This looks like some German. Sometimes you can notice the spotting rounds coming in on a position. Move your guys out of there. Fire for effect happens. This thing is just crushing that left flank. Squad. And they can participate in the attack on this one, they still got 7 rounds left. Yeah, they'll still be firing for another 5 or 6 minutes. So we could even cease fire on that mission and shift it somewhere else if we wanted to. These guys hunt. There's no Germans left in that little spot right there. Maybe they can roll if they get out here on the flank in the open. They can cut into the German defenses from that side. Quiet now. Is over. Still have a few, got 10 rounds left, so I'll have to fire those rounds up into here. We can find a sweet spot. Fire those last 10 rounds into that tree line.
check fire, check
You can
fire,
also
check
adjust
fire.
fire on a mission and kind of shift where it's firing at sometimes to move the
Roger,
target just a little
checking
bit.
fire, end of mission.
Ah, well, that was stupid. That was my mistake. Should have kept them back. Yeah, probably one German Panzerfaust is probably the last one left. Was the guy with Panzerfaust down there. Took out that tank. Alright, so we gotta keep our last tank in the fight. Park right here. Shoot at whatever they can see. Now, since there's not so many Germans on the map as there were before, I can creep that sniper back. Gun, so those guys get ouch. Direct artillery strike on those guys. Start moving those infantry up along that side. Tank crew, most of them made it out. But yeah, not a great some scattered German units, remnants left in here of the attack.
Did you see that?
Now here's the target for our artillery. Machine gun team, 2 buildings right next to each other. That definitely will counter any advance. Target.
Requesting fire mission. Over.
Or some more howitzer rounds. Ah, sniper got up there. His buddy got hit. Sniper's still in it.
Reload.
Trying to get everybody we can in the fight right here. Try to clean up the Germans on this side while we wait a minute for the artillery to land on those guys. So, Panzerschreck in that building. gun over there. We can take care of that too. Okay, he's still spotting. Hopefully, when those mortar rounds come in, they'll get that guy.
Roger. Request fire mission. Out.
Guys, keep them beneath the line of sight of that machine gun up there. Getting from there to there. Yeah. Definitely can't move them up to that machine gun. Tank can take care of it if the mortars don't. Kind of takes some time.
End of mission. Out.
They're taking artillery themselves. Get down, guys. This one's taking forever. Might have to settle for a ceasefire on this one now. Don't know if we're strong enough to push with only one tank and artillery. We got one tank left. Infantry is pretty weak. German. And I think this video is getting really long, so I think I'll hit ceasefire here. So we still get the major victory, just not total victory. We didn't get quite enough enemy units destroyed, and we didn't get to that command post, but we'll take major victory. We had 18 killed, 18 wounded versus 78 and 48 for the Germans. And if we take a sneak peek, like spoilers, if you're going to play this later, don't look. But yeah, so I don't think we would have been strong enough to push. They still have 2 machine guns up here, even with all that artillery dropped on them. There's where their artillery spotter was. We had cleaned up most of this, and dang, yep, sure enough, the only enemy unit hiding in the bushes over here, a Panzerschreck team. And look where they are. They're in a foxhole on the backside of this slope. Like, that was totally a trap, and I fell for it. Rolled my tank through there, thinking, I will roll through to open ground, and cut into their defenses from behind, but nope, that Panzerschreck was right there, positioned specifically to get me when I tried to do that. Now this is interesting. There's a Panzer IV hanging out right there, who I don't think ever made an appearance in that whole battle, just waiting for someone to roll into town to attack this command post and get blasted. Now, I was calling in the big howitzer on him, right on that spot, so maybe we would have got lucky and knocked it out. But that's, yeah, a little hidden danger right there. And then they had some more, had still a pretty strong presence there, even with all the artillery dropping on these buildings. I mean, these guys are rattled, so they would have probably broken easily, but I didn't have enough force left to push on them, I don't think. It's kind of the thing of a strong push, they'd get some shots off, but then as soon as we got return fire on them, they would probably run for it, and we'd push them out of there. But not strong enough, and yeah, that's still a lot of guys left in there. A lot of machine gun positions, a lot of Panzerschrecks. So probably made the right decision not trying to push it. Would have got wiped out. Though we did pretty good knocking out their attack on us. Well, there's one more mission in the training campaign. I'm not going to do it for this video. It's been too long. I think I've covered pretty much all the basics. I don't think there's any unit types that we haven't seen yet that are radically different. So I'm curious just to see what does this last training mission give us. That's a new. So now we're going on the attack again. We have a reinforced rifle company, platoon of M4s, mortars, howitzers. We don't, yeah, our tanks are minus the ones we've lost already, so that's looking good. So yeah, if you're playing this training campaign, try not to lose your tanks. Also get a platoon of combat engineers, some tank destroyers, which are really good for destroying tanks. Another shank platoon artillery. So we do get a pretty nice big force from this. And now, yeah, this looks familiar. This isn't the exact same map, but it kind of is. It's like a bigger version of that map. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So this is the same town, just a little bit wider. And I think that, so this is one that it carries forward kind of exactly where your guys are positioned in the well, I don't know if that's exactly or sort of. But anyway, yeah, so this is definitely a campaign where what you have carries forward. So if you take a lot of losses early on, it's going to make this last mission a little harder. But you do get some more tanks. You get a jumbo, the extra armored one, with more tanks and tank destroyers and more infantry coming soon. And a nice selection of artillery. But now you have to attack, so this is where the command post was. Interesting. Yeah, so now if you didn't manage the attack in the last mission, or if you were wise and just didn't make the attempt and saved your forces for this mission, now you have to go on the offensive. But I'm not going to play that because this video is getting too long and it's too late. But if you watched all the way through, thanks for watching. Um, if you've never played combat mission before, I hope you see that it's challenging, but it's fun. It lets you think very tactically, strategically. There's a lot of options, and sometimes you'll do something and it'll be the wrong thing, and you just have to kind of live with it. Um, and then sometimes you'll do something and you'll feel really smart. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you watched all the way to the end, please hit subscribe. Come back for more later, and I'll see you next time. Bye.